Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who, in theory, would be above something as silly as taking three songs and pitting them against each other in some kind of gladiatorial competition for what is the best song of the week. I wouldn't normally do that, but I'm bored. I'm still in quarantine, I still have COVID. I taught 2 classes remotely today. It was really tiring. It made me feel like I just ran a marathon. So I'm gonna do this video anyway because I've just been bored. I've just been sitting on my air mattress. There's only so much I can watch, season 5 of Rick and Morty, and it makes me laugh too much, and then it hurts my breathing because I got COVID. So I thought I'll just do this. I'll just do this kind of fun idea, and I'll have my Brondo with me to make sure I don't lose too many electrolytes. I stay peppy for this video to compare 3 rap songs, for lack of a better term, that came out this week that are all tied around Kanye, all tied around Yeezus, and all tied around Donda. There's these weird sort of connecting tissues that all go through Donda for these 3 songs. Diet Coke by Pusha-t, City of Gods by Fivio and OK by KayCyyy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe each of them. I'm going to give a little review of all 3. And then I'm going to determine who wins best beats, best rhymes, and best overall. Now earlier I sort of gave a sort of like, I guess we could call it rap. Obviously this is all rap, this is all hip hop. But this is a real testament. The difference in these 3 songs is a real testament to the vitality of hip hop music right now, which can just sound so different and all over the place. I need to breathe more. Brondo. So let's start off with the track that came out first, Diet Coke by Pusha-t, produced by Kanye and 88 Keys. In case you don't know, 88 Keys is the primary producer behind No Church in the Wild. No Church in the Wild is one of those songs where you just say the title and then everybody in the back of their head Sorry, I'm turning into Matthew McConaughey from Wolf of Wall Street. And he also was on a lot of different songs of Donda. So he was one of the producers. When you look at Kanye's producer list, he's so generous with who gets credit. There's a long list, and about maybe a third of the songs have producing credit by 88 Keys. So this is interesting, right? Because it sees Pusha-t and Kanye back together again. It's been a while since Pusha released an album. He wasn't even on Donda. He was on an earlier version, but he wasn't on the final version. That's maybe my biggest, what I think is the thing he took out that he should have left in, because I love hearing Pusha-t. And the beat, it's old school Kanye style beat. A pitched up soul verse, cool kind of scratching around to Fat Joe saying crack like, very emphatic piano. My main problem with the beat is this. Where's the bass? What's up with this bass? Like, the bass, he's so light in this song. But it's all saved, and it's all pushed forward just by Pusha-t's amazing charisma, his amazing skill as a rapper. I've been talking in my videos about Makami about the Jay-Z hole that we have in hip-hop, that we need somebody like Jay-Z to be delivering great crack raps while also appealing to the mainstream. And I think Pusha-t is trying to do that as well. This does feel like Blueprint era Jay-Z, the production from Kanye and from the rapping by Pusha-t. Sorry, you're going to hear my dogs upstairs. I'm quarantined in the basement. Tell me in the comments if that doesn't bother you. And smash the like bucket for my special 4th video. Powered by Brondo. So what's interesting about this song is, it's a crack rap song, and it's all street, and it's all hardcore. But it's really pushing the chorus. It opens up with the chorus. And the chorus repeats twice, so they're trying to do something catchy here. What's interesting is the first chorus is double long. And it doubles this joke of you ordered a Diet Coke, that's a joke, right? It's not like a super funny punchline, but it's a catchy punchline. And also, obviously it's referring to cocaine, and you can't order Diet Cocaine, that's a joke, right? It's it's does that thing that Pusha-T can do really well in his choruses and in his repeated lines of just saying things in a way that even if you don't understand what they mean, the way he says them, the tonality of his voice, it's just so, I'm too rare for all these blue hairs, or whatever, whatever these lines are that you tap dance on a brick, like all these lines that he's able to deliver, they just get like stuck in your head. And I think, order Diet Coke, that's a joke, right? Just the construction of that one line, order Diet Coke, that's a joke, right? And the whole chorus starts off with this theme of imaginary players ain't coached right. I believe imaginary players is a Jay-Z line and part of what puts, the real crack rappers versus the imaginary crack rappers. The first verse is quite strong. He refers to Kanye as Yeezus. He just keeps getting lower and lower. He started off as Jesus. Jesus, historically, cool guy, regardless of the religion that followed him. Jesus himself, cool guy. And then Yandi, another cool guy. Now Yeezus? I don't know. You can do better. But then just a great example of the style of raps that Pusha T has. They mad at us who wouldn't be. We became everything you couldn't be. Everything your mama said you shouldn't be. The Porsche's horses revving like, look at me, saddle up. I'm still pitching, baby, batter up. Just great play, great flow. Couldn't be, shouldn't be, look at me. All that stuff and the Porsches and the revving. It's Pusha T really at the top of his game. The second chorus is half as long. And then the second verse, the flow changes just kind of slightly. If you listen carefully, you'll see it's like sort of like divided into twos. The flow's untouched, the drums is tucked, the drive calling in when the roads gets rough. There's a slight flow change here, which is part of his mastery. And then he repeats that line from the second half of the first chorus, our only Missy was a misdemeanor. Missy was our only misdemeanor. Obviously a reference to Missy Elliott, whose nickname was Misdemeanor. But it's cool because like he repeats this line and then has these and then follows it up with completely different lines. So he does this thing where he has these repeated elements that get stuck in your head, like Missy was our only misdemeanor. That'll just be stuck in your head, right? And then follows it up. Nike box had 100,000 with no insoles. The crack era was such a black era. Fascinating idea, interesting wordplay, that the crack era of the 80s when the American government, in collaboration with many drug cartels, flooded the American streets with low-priced cocaine in the form of crack, and had a disproportionate effect on the African American population. It's like the crack era was a black era. It's playing on black as like a bad era, but also as in, black as an African American. And it's an important thing to remember, that, as I like to say, the crack epidemic is America's shame. The prison system, the full prisons, is America's shame. It's not individual shame of the people who did the crime and who are arrested. It's our shame as Americans that we allowed this to happen and that we're continuing to allow it to happen. And that's how rap, which can seem apolitical, such as gangster rap that talks about selling crack, can in some ways be political. Because it's a reminder of our shame, of what we let happen. And everyone talks about how cool the 80s were, Back to the Future, man, Breakfast Club, Duran Duran. No, it wasn't that cool. It was a black era. I mean that in the bad sense. Anyways, God, I gotta slow down. I'm not even through the first song yet. Brondo. The final line in this verse: "How many still stand in reflecting that mirror? Look, lucky me," emphasizing how lucky he is to have made it through the crack era. We'll see if both dogs start barking soon. I appear to be cursed. So that's the first song. Great beats, great rhymes. Now let's get to City of Gods by Fivio, Kanye, and Alicia Keys. Now, first of all, this is weird because the Chainsmokers got a production credit on this song because it's basically rephrasing their song about New York. So this is a super weird song. It's a sequel, but it's a double sequel. It's a sequel to New York's Empire State of Mind, the Jay-Z song that had Alicia Keys singing a pop hook over a bunch of verses about New York City. That's what this is. And it's a sequel to Off the Grid, one of the best songs off of Donda, which featured Fivio Foreign, who's here, which featured Kanye, and which featured Playboi Carti, who can be heard ad-libbing in the back, saying, and I quote, "Fwat! My son knows how to spell fwat. I don't know how to spell fwat." So it's this weird thing where it's like a sequel to a movie that came out last year, and it's sort of a reboot of a different movie that came out like 10 years ago. I'll take a sip while the dogs are hashing this one out. This might not work out, everybody. They might not stop. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to assume it's okay. So what happens in this song? Well, there's the bass. The bass that I was missing in the previous song is actually much better, is very present, maybe even too present in this song. It's because it's trying to be a New York drill song. It's sort of a statement. The song is a statement about New York and about New York drill and about the importance of New York and the importance of New York drill. It has another weird structure where it's chorus, half verse, then a full verse, and then chorus, verse. So again, they are trying to emphasize the chorus, trying to make this chorus big. Personally, I prefer the chorus off of Diet Coke. That's just me. Fivio on here is good, but this is the thing. This song is sort of like Scream 2 compared to Scream 1. Scream 2 is a great movie, and it's unbelievable it came out so quickly after Scream 1, but it is not the original. This is not Off the Grid. This really is a kind of weak sequel to Off the Grid in basically every way. I mean, Fivio is very strong here, but he doesn't quite have that hunger, doesn't quite have the memorable lines. It's interesting because he's talking about, replacing Pop Smoke as the new king of New York, essentially. There's a sort of undercurrent here that maybe this is trying to start some kind of East Coast, West Coast beef, which would be weird coming from Kanye, who lives in Los Angeles and is from Chicago, to take a New York side on a West Coast beef on a song that he probably only has ever listened to in LA. An example of why Fivio is interesting, the first rhyme that he puts together is violence and challenge. It's really hard to make those words rhyme together, violence and challenge, but he does. He does have some good punchlines here. If you chill with the ops, we is not vibing. If I see him in person, we Fox 5 him. Fox 5, the New York channel. Like you see local murders on the news, saying that's where they're going to be. So I like Fivio's verse, but this is like the Monster problem. Nicki Minaj was never going to do anything better than her verse on Monster, and it's not because she's not good. It's because the verse on Monster is like top 5 verses in hip hop history. Probably. I haven't done the math, but probably it's that good. But her follow-ups weren't that good. And this just isn't quite as good as Off the Grid. And speaking of not as good as Off the Grid, we have Kanye's verse. So, he says right off the first line is about Off the Grid. He said we went off the grid. And he has this whole verse. It's all about how much he likes New York. But the thing is, he's like me. He's a little low energy, a little Jeb Bush, as I like to call it. A little low energy. And I don't know why, because his lines are good, but there's a lifelessness to his delivery. And I don't know what, do you hear it too? Is it just me? People get pissed when I say anything bad about COVID, when I say anything bad about Kanye. But there's just something flat in his affect here. I like a lot of the lines. After I buy the Chicago Bulls, I'm a link with Mike, and if I let him have my wife, should thank me. So fortunately, this isn't an entire verse all about his wife and his kids, which I discussed in the previous video. But he calls this the feature of the year. I'm sorry. It's not even better than J. Cole's feature on the Benny the Butcher song. Although, to be fair, J. Cole absolutely killed it. So I don't know. He even kind of switches up the flow, and he's kind of settling the score with SNL. Also, sometimes, and I don't fault Kanye for ever using ghostwriters. I don't think he uses a ton. But there's a few lines on here that just feel a little too prepackaged. I'm not quite sure. But there is a great part, a very important part to this. And I think this is the essential 2022 Kanye lyric. So at least this song has given us that. I seen the same thing happen to Michael. This time, he's talking about Jackson, not Jordan. You black and you rich, they say you psycho. It's like a cycle. So in my previous song, or in my previous review of Easy, where I was very harsh on Kanye for how he's treating his children by publicly shaming them in music, you know, I got a lot of comments about how I shouldn't do that, how I shouldn't be saying that because I don't understand the dynamics of a black family, which is true, but mainly that I don't understand the persecution that Kanye is receiving because he's black. And that's true, I didn't address that. So to all of you who commented that, you're right, and I was wrong. I should have addressed that. That we're in this weird thing where Kanye, there's two things that are happening. Kanye is handling this poorly, and he is mistreating his children. That's true. And the media and culture in general is taking Kanye and using him as some kind of representative that they can take their racist anger at. You know, like, he's also a figure of racist scorn. So it's really hard because I want to focus on this part, Kanye the human being who's messing up and hopefully he can do better. But whenever you address that, you're agreeing with these folks over here who are saying, yes, that's the way that this is the way they are. All this weird racist stuff that's implied in Kanye and his public blow-ups and the way they're perceived. Very confusing. Very complicated, and I think that's why this line is so important. You black, you rich, they saying you psycho, it's like a cycle. It is like a cycle. The funny parallel I came up with, there's like a lot of talk about like workers in these two songs. So Pusha-T says his workers are compensated, so there's no strikes. And then the Kanye song, he talks about how he pays his people well. So there's kind of a funny thing. I don't know if this is just this essential worker thoughts where we're realizing that we need to take labor seriously. Maybe the great labor strikes will occur for real reasons, which is the wage gap, not fake reasons, which is masks. Like one successful labor strike, and it's about wanting to kill more grandparents. Jesus Christ. It's not my country, so I guess I got that going for me. I'm getting political too. Man, my comment sections are going to be crazy. Subscribe, smash the like bucket. It's the COVID talking. Then we're going to get to the third song, which isn't quite on this par of the other ones in terms of the hype. But it's Okay by KayCyyy and Gesaffelstein. If you don't know KayCyyy, he was the guy who sang the original version of Keep My Spirit Alive. The two things I'm most mad about, the changes that were made to Yeezus. Number one, taking Pusha-T off of the first track. Number two, taking KayCyyy off of Keep My Spirit Alive. Kanye sings it well, but KayCyyy sings it divinely. Keep my spirit alive. He just has this there's like a tiny gorgeousness to his voice, and that was taken out. And if you don't know Gesaffelstein, he's co-producer of Jesus Lord on Donda and a whole bunch of stuff on Yeezus, including Send It Up. Like, I believe Send It Up, yeah, it was Daft Punk, but I think it was mainly Gesaffelstein who was doing that. So KayCyyy is coming out with this album, it turns out, mainly produced by Gesaffelstein, and this is going to be great. KayCyyy is, I looked it up, he's Minnesotan, but of Kenyan origin, part of the great American sort of Midwest African, the African diaspora to the Midwest in the 20th century, in the 21st century, is like this great source of cultural richness in America, and we're seeing it pop up more and more in music, and of course in politics as well. Like, Minnesota is like going to become a serious cultural hub because of this immigration policy that is allowing all these Africans to come and to settle and to make a life. And we're already seeing it happen. Like, we're seeing it happen right now. Like, you need to see the benefits of immigration. Just listen to this goddamn song. Damn, I'm political today. More like woke aid. Jesus. This song rules. If you had to listen to just one song, listen to this. Oh my God, Gesaffelstein is just on fire. The very clear synth sounds. It kind of reminds me of that game Simon, where you have to hit the different buttons and they repeat. Do 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 do. But it's this cool, looped, very clear synthesizer, quite avant-garde. Every once in a while, there'll be these little notes here and there. No drums, except at the very, 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 very end. There's like a couple hi-hats, like... But beyond that, no hi-hats. It is just an awesome beat. And at times, he'll put in this dirty, low rumble on the keyboard. I mean, I can't make the sound because I got COVID, but imagine I can make a really low sound, like that, but lower. Even doing that, I better see some like buttons smashed on this thing. This bucket's better be destroyed. And I've been talking about Kanye all the time, but also there's a real Cardi ghost going on here. So Cardi's ghost was on that song by Fivio, just going, wah. And then here, really, KayCyyy is taking on he's really building on a lot of what Playboi Carti does. The way the first verse goes, he sounds like he's just trying to sound like him, you know, kind of repeating lines. I walk in this itch, I walk in this itch, and na. But the thing is, he's a little more clear. And the thing about KayCyyy is he's a singer. He's not a rapper. So he's not coming to this style from like, oh, I'm just gonna rap and then there'll be a little sing-songy rap. He's a singer who's a rapper. And that really comes through, like when he says like my cologne is Kush and you can smell my tree. And he sets this beautiful note. And then the chorus gets like changes keys and gets all detuned. And he just keeps repeating, I feel good when I'm outside. I can't wait to go outside. It's illegal for me to go around the block. And I'm not gonna break the law. I'm not gonna get people sick. So I can't wait to go outside. It will feel good when I can go outside. And then the post-chorus is just saying, okay, all right, with that low, dirty rumble that I can't say without making myself cough. And then the second verse is just that one keyboard and his words and his voice. And his voice is so good. It's such good quality that goes along with it. This album is going to be so good. This KayCyyy Gesaffelstein album is going to be so good. Top 5, based on this song, top 5, easy. At times, Gesaffelstein will make it dirty and then make it clean again with the sounds. And then the outro just gets wild with the chorus repeated over and over and over itself with echoes and layers and weird and cool and slightly unsettling. And then the final sound is basically the same sound that opened up Jesus Lord, that weird kind of rumbling sound. So it feels like there's this whole Jesus Donda continuity to all three of these songs, which is a testament to how vibrant hip-hop is. And let's face it, it's a testament to how amazing Kanye's influence is on our musical landscape. Because he's like responsible for like everything that's going on here when he's just got one verse and like co-produces a couple songs. But he's everywhere on these songs. Everything that's happening in this culture. He's just everywhere. He's just, God, he's behind me. He's literally behind me. So, ironically, we'll see how much Kanye wins. Beats. What's the best beat of these 3 songs? The KayCyyy beat by Gesaffelstein. Unmatchable. It's just great. It's showing the future of these no drum beats mixing in with electronic dance music sensibility, mixed in with the sort of dirty South, avant-garde, hyper mumble trap pop stuff that's going on. As far as the rhymes go, gotta go with pusha-t. This is my pusha-t autograph, prized item in my collection. He's just so good. And also, not just his rhymes, but his delivery. I did like the Fivio verse, but I don't think it compares. And overall, the best song, it's going to be a tie between Pusha-T and the KayCyyy song. I couldn't decide between them. All I know is it's definitely not the Fivio foreign. It's fine, but it's not great. But the other 2 songs are really great and very promising for these albums that are coming out. So tell me, what's your favorite of the 3 and why? Do you agree with my takes? Do you want to argue with me about mask mandates and immigration? You can if you want. I'm not going to respond to those because, you know, there's no point arguing on the internet. But those are things I feel pretty strongly about, come to think of it. Anyways, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to try and figure out what I'm going to eat for lunch. And until next time, keep my spirit alive. There's the camera.